In the dazzling villas of ancient Rome, beauty was power. Noble women were expected to look flawless pale skin, smooth texture, and rosy lips. But behind their perfect appearance hid deadly secrets. Wealthy Roman women used white foundation made of lead carbonate, believing it gave their skin a noble, divine glow. What they didn't know was that this very powder was slowly poisoning them. Every morning, they coated their faces with layers of lead-based cream mixed with vinegar to create a silky finish. The result was elegant, but fatal. Over time, their skin grew brittle, their hair thinned, and they suffered chronic headaches and organ damage. Some women even lost their beauty entirely scarred by sores caused by their own cosmetics. Yet vanity ruled stronger than fear. Even after doctors warned of slow death by beauty, Roman elites refused to abandon their rituals. For them, looking divine even. For a short life was worth every drop of suffering. Behind the glimmer of ancient luxury lay a truth few dared to whisper. Roman beauty came at the cost of slow, painful decay. In ancient Rome, soft and pale skin symbolized purity and wealth. Women spent hours each day perfecting their complexions with elaborate, often painful routines. They bathed in donkey milk, believing it kept their skin youthful. The wealthy even kept entire herds for this very purpose. But their quest for flawlessness went far beyond luxury. It became torture. To remove blemishes, women applied mercury and vinegar masks, which burned the skin but promised renewal. Others used ground pumice, stones, and ashes to scrub away freckles, often leaving open wounds. To keep their faces pale, they avoided sunlight, sometimes covering themselves in toxic white paste containing lead, chalk, and tin. These treatments caused irreversible damage, scarring, blisters, and infections that doctors struggled to treat, yet the women persisted, desperate to fit Rome's harsh beauty ideals. The pain became part of the price of status. Underneath their silk robes and gold jewelry,
Many bore the hidden marks of their devotion to beauty: raw, bleeding skin that never truly healed.
in their world, a flawless face mattered more than comfort, health, or even life itself. For the women of ancient Rome, beauty was both a privilege and a punishment. Every wrinkle, freckle, or tan line was seen as a failure, a sign of low birth or neglect. To avoid such disgrace, women subjected themselves to harsh and bizarre treatments. They dyed their hair blonde with goat fat and ashes, then bleached it in the sun for hours. The process left their scalps burning and brittle. They smeared their faces with lead-based creams, hoping for radiant paleness, unaware that they were slowly being poisoned. Even eye makeup was dangerous goal, mixed with soot, and toxic minerals caused blindness over time. Perfume, another symbol of refinement, was made from rare oils and animal fats, often mixed with harmful resins that irritated the skin. The cruel irony was that the more a woman chased beauty, the faster it destroyed her. Some historians believe that noble women's mysterious illnesses, paralysis, and early death were all side effects of their own vanity. In Rome, beauty was not a blessing. It was a curse wrapped in gold. The higher a woman's rank, the more she suffered for perfection. The Roman Empire was obsessed with appearances. White skin was seen as the mark of nobility, proof that one lived far from the laboring sun. To achieve this, women turned to their deadliest ally, lead makeup. The mixture, known as cherusa, was made by soaking lead in vinegar until it dissolved into a smooth paste. It gave an instant porcelain glow, but the poison seeped deep into their pores. Over months and years, it caused severe lead poisoning, hair loss, rotting teeth, insomnia, and trembling limbs. Still, no Roman woman would appear in public without it. Even Empress Poppaea Sabina, known for her legendary beauty, was rumored to bathe daily in milk and cover her face with The empire admired her pale glow, but her health deteriorated in secret. Doctors of the time noticed strange ailments among noble women but failed to connect them to cosmetics. Thus, generation after generation repeated the same deadly routine. The Roman elite literally painted themselves to death, blinded by the illusion of beauty that shimmered like marble but killed like poison. Ancient Roman skincare was a mixture of luxury and madness. Women used honey masks, rose oils, and herbal waters but mixed them with ingredients that no modern skin expert would dare touch. Lead powder, sulfur, vinegar, ashes, and even crocodile dung were common.
They believed these ingredients could purify and smooth the skin. In reality,
Many women developed deep scars, infections, and burns. To cover the damage, they added more layers of lead-based foundation, trapping the poison beneath their skin. It was a vicious cycle of beauty and destruction. Some beauty slaves, special servants trained to apply cosmetics, were known to faint from toxic fumes. Yet, their mistresses demanded perfection. Better pain than imperfection, said one Roman poet, describing how women would endure any suffering for beauty. By the end of the empire, beauty had turned into a silent epidemic. The once beautiful faces of noble women became pale, hollow, and lifeless, haunted by their own vanity. Rome's greatest skincare secret wasn't beauty at all, it was self-inflicted ruin disguised as glamour. In ancient Rome, beauty wasn't just vanity, it was survival. A woman's face determined her status, her marriage, and even her worth. But behind the graceful smiles and polished skin lay a world of torment. The Romans' obsession with pale, flawless beauty drove women to dangerous extremes. They bleached their skin with white lead paste and stained their cheeks with crushed red rocks and cinnabar, another deadly mineral containing mercury. The constant layering of toxins caused painful sores that oozed beneath the makeup. Yet, these scars were hidden, denied, and ignored. Servants worked tirelessly to prepare creams that burned and blistered, while noble women endured the agony in silence.
the goal was not health but illusion.
Even when sickness consumed them, their faces gleamed with that ghostly aristocratic shine. Rome, adored in the marble halls of power, beauty was a weapon but a cursed one. The same perfection that won hearts also destroyed lives. Beneath Rome's shimmering beauty ideals lay a haunting truth. Their glow came from poison, not purity. To the women of ancient Rome, makeup was more than art, it was identity. But this devotion had a hidden cost. Every pigment, every powder, and every perfume came with danger. Their face paints were made of lead, mercury, and antimony elements that modern science recognizes as lethal. Morning after morning, Roman women coated their faces in these toxic mixtures, desperate to look noble and untouchable. They called it divine beauty. Doctors later called it slow suicide. As years passed, many noble women began suffering from mysterious illnesses, dizziness, blackened gums, hair loss, and trembling hands. Some even went mad, their minds decaying along with their beauty. Still, the obsession continued. At banquets, men admired their pale, polished faces, never suspecting that beneath the powder, their flesh was dying. The irony was brutal. The very cosmetics that gave them elegance also stole their vitality. In the end, Roman beauty was like their empire grand, glittering, and destined to collapse under the weight of its own excess. The price of beauty was death disguised as luxury. Not all Roman beauty rituals were about powders and paints. Some involved fire, acid, and raw pain.
To remove unwanted hair, women poured boiling resin mixed with oil over their skin, then ripped it away with cloth strips.
The burns often left permanent scars. To smooth their faces, they applied vinegar mixed with powdered shells, a corrosive mask that ate through the top layer of skin.
For youthful radiance, they used sulfur-based pastes that smelled like rot but promised renewal.
Instead, they caused chemical burns and peeling. Still, these brutal treatments were seen as fashionable acts of refinement. A woman who could endure them was admired for her strength. Some even went blind from ointments made of copper and soot, but their suffering was praised as beauty's sacrifice.
Pain was not hidden, it was honored. Roman women turned agony into elegance, not realizing that their devotion to beauty was literally destroying their faces.
Beneath the golden mirrors and perfumed halls, beauty was fire, disguised as grace. Behind every Roman beauty routine was a gruesome truth. Blood and poison built their perfection. Elite women mixed ground lead with pig fat to create a glowing foundation. For blush, they used red ochre or even their own blood, pricking their cheeks with needles before applying color.
Their hairstyling methods were equally torturous.
To achieve golden curls, slaves ironed their mistress's hair using heated bronze rods soaked in oil. The smell of burnt hair filled the air as women smiled through the pain, desperate to maintain their divine image. Even skincare was mixed with cruelty animal marrow. Crushed pearls and ashes of mice were believed to restore youth. But instead of healing, these mixtures infected wounds and left lasting marks. Rome's women bled for beauty, both literally and metaphorically. Their rituals were a form of devotion to men, to status, to survival. Every scar told the same story. Beauty was not given. It was taken by force, paid for in pain. Some ancient Roman beauty hacks were so extreme that even modern viewers would shudder. To whiten their teeth, women rubbed them with urine collected from Spain, believing its ammonia would cleanse and shine. To remove wrinkles, they smeared goose fat and crushed pearls across their faces overnight. They bleached their hair with a mix of sulfur and goat fat, then roasted it under the sun for hours, inhaling the fumes. For a radiant glow, they applied masks made from crocodile dung and vinegar, truly believing filth could create beauty. One of the strangest rituals involved leeches. Some women placed them on their faces to improve blood circulation, enduring hours of pain and bleeding. Others used burnt animal bones to darken their brows, risking infections. These bizarre routines left behind scars, diseases, and deformities, but they were proudly followed by Rome's elite. In their eyes, beauty was worth any horror. Today, these rituals stand as a chilling reminder that vanity has always demanded a price, and Rome paid it in blood and pain. Beauty, in ancient Rome, was not gentle. It was carved, burned, and bled into existence. The rituals that promised allure demanded pain, sometimes unbearable pain.
Women used razor-sharp tools to shave their faces, scrub their bodies with rough stones,
And endured hours under the scorching sun for the perfect shade of blonde hair. To reduce wrinkles, they applied vinegar mixed with salt and ashes, creating burning sensations that left their faces red and raw. Some even inserted metal pins into their hairlines to pull their skin teeter, a primitive version of cosmetic surgery. The women smiled through agony, because suffering was seen as proof of devotion. They believed pain refined beauty, that endurance made them divine. But the truth was cruel. Many ended up disfigured, bleeding scalps, burned cheeks, scarred hands. The empire that built marble gods demanded its women suffer like them. Silent, stoic, and perfect. Beneath the elegance of Rome's women lay the hidden truth. Beauty was their battlefield, and pain was their crown. The streets of Rome were filled with perfumes, powders, and promises. Vendors sold miracle creams that claimed to restore youth, brighten the skin, or bring eternal beauty. But these products were anything but divine. They were death in disguise. Many creams contained lead, sulfur, and mercury. Others were made from strange ingredients: crushed mouse ashes, crocodile dung, and even powdered gemstones. Women rubbed these mixtures into their skin, praying for perfection but awakening to pain. Blisters formed, rashes spread. Some went blind from kohl eyeliners laced with copper and antimony. Others developed open sores that never healed. But when their faces scarred, they sought even stronger remedies, creating a deadly cycle of destruction. Rumors spread that cursed beauty jars circulated among Rome's wealthy creams, so toxic they seemed enchanted by dark forces. Whether myth or truth, one thing was certain: Roman beauty was both ritual and ruin. Their vanity was a spell they cast upon themselves, one that promised eternal allure, but delivered only scars, sickness, and early graves. In ancient Rome, pale skin wasn't just fashionable, was sacred. It symbolized wealth, purity, and nobility. Women went to terrifying lengths to achieve it. destroying their natural skin in the process. Each morning, they coated their faces in a deadly paste of white lead and vinegar, known as cherusa. The mixture gave an instant porcelain glow, hiding blemishes and sun damage. But beneath the surface, the poison worked its slow destruction, causing sores, flaking skin, and irreversible damage to nerves and organs. To maintain their ghostly beauty, they layered even more makeup, trapping toxins deeper into their pores. Their bodies weakened, their faces lost life, yet they smiled through the pain. Some even consumed lead powder internally, believing it purified the blood. Over time, many noble women became so pale they looked almost lifeless. Their glowing beauty was praised in poems but whispered about in fear. Rome's pursuit of perfection had turned its women into walking corpses, pale, flawless, and dying. Their beauty was worshipped, but their suffering was hidden behind white powder and silence. There was a time when beauty itself was a death sentence. In Rome, the most coveted cosmetic white lead foundation was as deadly as it was dazzling. Women mixed lead with vinegar and oil, then applied it daily to their faces, necks, and arms. It gave them the radiant, marble-like complexion of a goddess. But every use brought them closer to death. The lead entered their bloodstream, poisoning them from within. Their symptoms began subtly: fatigue, pale lips, and aching joints. But soon came hair loss, trembling hands, and bleeding gums. Their beauty faded even as their skin appeared flawless. Ironically, the more ill they became, the more they used the makeup to hide their sickness. Some historians believe even empresses suffered this fate, victims of vanity wrapped in silk and gold. No sword, no poison, no war, just makeup. Slow, silent, unstoppable. In the empire that conquered the world, beauty conquered women's lives, leaving behind perfect faces carved by death itself. If you think modern skincare can be extreme, wait until you see what Romans used in the name of beauty. Their cosmetics were a horrifying mix of luxury and danger, each product more shocking than the last. They used crocodile dung masks to cleanse the skin and donkey milk baths to soften it. They dyed their hair with ashes and pigeon droppings and bleached it under the hot sun for hours. For lipstick, they crushed iron oxide mixed with animal fat. For eyeliner, they used toxic soot laced with antimony and lead. To remove spots, they applied vinegar mixed with powdered snails. To tighten their skin, they used mixtures of sulfur and burnt herbs that smelled of decay. Some even drank potions containing ground pearls or coral, believing it brought inner radiance. The results were temporary and tragic. Burns, infections, and poisoning were common. Still, these bizarre rituals continued for centuries.
In their desperate chase for eternal youth, Roman women turned their bodies into experiments of pain and poison. In the golden age of Rome,
beauty was a business worth empires. Perfume merchants, cosmetic makers, and physicians thrived by selling miracle creams to noble women. But behind the elegance of those crystal jars and ivory boxers lay death. Roman cosmetics were often made with lead, mercury, and crushed minerals, substances that slowly destroyed the skin. Yet the ingredients were kept secret, passed down as family recipes of the elite. Wealthy women believed these luxuries proved their status, never realizing they were buying sickness. Perfumes were mixed with resin and animal fat, clogging pores and causing infections. Lip stains contained toxic eyeshadows shimmered with ground malachite mineral that could blind. Even the famous Roman baths, thought to purify, spread disease through shared oils and unclean waters. The higher the class, the more luxurious and dangerous the cosmetics became. Beauty was no longer a choice. It was an addiction wrapped in silk. In the heart of Rome's luxury, every meal reflected not perfection, but decay for Roman women. Every day began with beauty and ended with pain. Their morning routines were elaborate rituals involving powders, ointments, and tonics that promised perfection, but delivered suffering. They exfoliated with ground pumice stones until their skin bled. They bleached their faces with lead creams that burned, then cooled the wounds with vinegar and rose oil. Some used masks made of barley, egg whites, and sulfur overnight, waking to irritation and infection. 2. Remove wrinkles. They stretched their skin with sharp bronze clips. To lighten freckles, they scorched them with burning herbs. And yet, they were admired for their dedication. Pain was considered proof of beauty. Over time, many women bore the marks of their ritual scars on their cheeks, burns on their necks, and sores hidden under powder. Their faces became testaments to their suffering, not their splendor. In the end, the empire's obsession with beauty left behind not goddesses but ghosts. Their scars were the legacy of Rome, iscarud est fashion pain, disguised as perfection. In the Roman Empire, beauty glowed literally. Women were obsessed with luminous, pale skin that reflected wealth and divine grace. To achieve that glow, they turned to powders made from white lead, chalk, and tin oxide. It worked instantly, but the glow came at a deadly cost. The toxic powders blocked their pores, caused severe rashes, and ate through their skin. Over time, the poison entered their bloodstream, attacking their organs and nerves. Their once healthy faces turned ghostly pale, not from beauty, but from illness.
Yet no one dared abandon the trend.
Even as sores appeared, they covered them with thicker layers of powder. Their glow became eerie, their smiles faint. Historians later described noble women whose faces appeared smooth as marble, yet lifeless as stone. The empire's obsession with white skin turned into a silent plague. The very symbol of beauty became the mark of decay. In chasing radiance, Roman women lost their light hand, became shadows of their own perfection. Behind the luxurious baths, golden mirrors, and perfumed oils of ancient Rome, there existed a world of pain disguised as elegance. Beauty treatments were not relaxing, they were brutal rituals. To cleanse their skin, women used vinegar mixed with ashes, scrubbing until they bled. To tighten their faces, they applied hot wax masks that peeled away skin when removed. For youth, they soaked in donkey milk baza, costly indulgence that only the rich could afford. But the results were fleeting. Hair was another battlefield. Women dyed it using caustic lime and pigeon droppings, often burning their scalps. They curled it with heated bronze rods that left blisters and scars. Even perfumes were risky, mixed with resins and acids that corroded the skin over time. The pain was endured in silence because beauty was seen as discipline. To suffer gracefully was to be admired. Rome's women didn't just wear beauty, they bled for it, turning every mirror into a silent witness of their torment. At first glance, Roman women looked flawless, radiant skin, bright lips, and dark eyes. But beneath the glamour was a horrifying truth. Their makeup was pure poison. Their foundation was lead paste. Their blush was red cinnabar rich in mercury. Their eyeliner was soot, mixed with antimony, a toxic metal. Each product added elegance on the surface, while corroding their bodies within. As years passed, symptoms appeared: fainting, tremors, blackened teeth, and madness. Still, they refused to stop. Beauty was power, and power demanded sacrifice. Even young girls were taught these routines from childhood, unknowingly beginning a lifetime of slow poisoning. Some historians believe that many noble women's mysterious deaths were not from disease,
but from the very cosmetics that made them admired.
The Roman ideal of beauty, pale, polished, and perfect, was nothing more than a mask of death. Behind every painted face was a woman slowly disappearing beneath her own reflection. For centuries, whispers surrounded the secret behind the unmatched beauty of Roman noble women. From empresses to courtesans, they all seemed to possess a glow that never faded. The truth, uncovered by historians, is chilling. They were slowly poisoning themselves with lead. The secret ingredient, Howaito Sirasa, was prepared in hidden chambers. Lead was soaked in vinegar until it formed a smooth, creamy paste. When applied, it gave the illusion of divine radiance. But the more they used it, the more it consumed them. Women who used Harusa daily suffered headaches, trembling limbs, and even infertility. Some died young, their bodies ravaged by lead poisoning. Yet, their legacy endured as icons of beauty. Ironically, because of the very poison that killed them. This secret spread across centuries, copied by Greeks, Elizabethans, and Victorians each, repeating Rome's deadly mistake. In the end, Rome's most beautiful women were victims of their own secreted beauty, so dangerous, it could kill. When Rome reached the height of its empire, vanity ruled stronger than any Caesar. Cosmetics became a symbol of class and control, and every woman wanted the look of a goddess. Markets overflowed with powders, perfumes, and beauty elixirs, but most were toxic concoctions. Artisans used lead, mercury, and arsenic to make their products shimmer. Perfumes were mixed with rotting animal fat, eye paints with crushed beetles, and creams with vinegar and ash. These were not beauty aids, they were chemical weapons in disguise. Women proudly displayed their ornate cosmetic boxers, unaware they were holding death in their hands. The more elaborate the beauty ritual, the higher the risk of disfigurement. Yet, in a society obsessed with appearances, suffering was fashionable. By the empire's end, doctors began linking cosmetics to widespread illness, but it was too late. The craze had claimed generations. Rome's beauty industry was the world's first and its deadliest. What began as glamour ended in tragedy as vanity consumed an empire from the inside out. In the shimmering villas of Rome, beauty was worshipped like a god. Women spent fortunes chasing the eternal glow, believing their appearance reflected their virtue. But what began as glamour often ended in the grave. They painted their faces with lead paste, dyed their hair with sulfur, and scented their bodies with oils mixed with toxins. The mirror showed beauty. Their bodies felt decay. Within months, headaches turned to paralysis, and smiles faded into pain. Doctors noticed the same tragic pattern: beautiful women dying young, their skin pale as marble, their organs failing. But society refused to listen. To be beautiful, they said, was worth any price. Even after death, their faces remained eerily smooth, embalmed by the poisons they once worshipped. Rome's greatest beauties became symbols of irony: women who died to preserve what would never last. Their graves glittered with jewels, but their legacy was written not in gold, but in the scars of their pursuit for perfection. In the heart of ancient Rome, vanity was not a sin, it was a status symbol. But for many women, it became their death sentence. To appear flawless, they trusted cosmetics that promised magic.
Lead foundation gave radiance, cinnabar gave blush, and antimony made eyes dark and mysterious.
Each product contained the poison that would one day end their lives. Symptoms began subtly: fatigue, fainting, and skin that never healed. Over time, madness and death followed. Yet, women continued to paint their faces, terrified of losing beauty more than losing life. Even the empire's doctors powerless. To stop the trend, called it the disease of noble women. It wasn't war or plague that claimed them, but their own reflection. The Roman obsession with appearance became a quiet epidemic that haunted every villa, every bathhouse, every mirror. In Rome, vanity wasn't just dangerous, was deadly. Behind every flawless Roman face was a story of pain. Women endured hours of torturous routines, believing that beauty was earned through suffering. They waxed their bodies with boiling resin, rubbed their faces with vinegar and ash, and used sharp bronze blades to shave. Burns, cuts, and scars were common. But the women didn't complain, it was all part of the ritual. To brighten their skin, they smeared on toxic lead paste. To soften it, they used donkey, milk, and honey. The mixture caused infections, masked by even more makeup. For the Romans, perfection was a battlefield. Pain was the only path to victory. Even when their faces blistered, they smiled. Beauty was duty. Historians later described their dedication as heroic madness. Indeed, it was. They fought daily wars not with swords, but with mirrors and poisons. Rome's beauty was never effortless, it was carved from agony and endurance. Fashion in ancient Rome was more than style, it was survival. Women were expected to embody beauty itself, no matter the cost. And for many, that cost was their life. They followed every trend, no matter how painful or deadly. They inhaled fumes from burning hair dyes, smeared toxic powders across their faces, and drank dangerous beauty tonics that promised youth. Their bodies grew weaker. Their health faded, but their faces remained flawless under layers of poison. To the outside world, they looked divine. But behind closed doors, noble women coughed blood, lost their hair, and collapsed from exhaustion. Still, they applied more makeup before stepping into the public eye. Rome celebrated
Their elegance, never their suffering.
They became martyrs of fashion, dying beautifully for a beauty that killed. In their pursuit of perfection, Roman women didn't just follow trends, they became victims of them. Centuries have passed, but the ruins of Rome still whisper its darkest truths. Among its buried treasures and broken statues lie the forgotten stories of women who suffered for beauty. Historians uncovered jars of cosmetics made with lead, mercury, and arsenic, evidence of Rome's obsession with perfection. These weren't mere beauty tools. They were instruments of slow death. The women who used them believed they were preserving youth, not realizing they were preserving their own doom. Their faces turned ghostly white, their health vanished, and their lives faded before their time. When Rome fell, so did its cruel beauty rituals. The toxic powders and deadly ointments were lost to dust until archaeologists rediscovered them centuries later. What they found wasn't glamour, but warning. The empire's beauty secrets were buried for a reason, to remind the world that vanity,
when worshipped, can destroy even the most powerful civilizations.